Hello everyone, welcome to a new day and a new video in which we are also going to cover the remaining the DDoS attack topics. And for that, we will continue with our Firefox browser. Where is my cursor? Okay. So I am very sorry, guys, for the last stream that was ended abruptly because of my electricity going down. So this time because I was not able to connect my OBS Blade app with this computer. I don't know why. It might be some IP issues. That's why sir, my app was not connected with it. So this time purposefully I connected the application with my phone in order if I have to pause the stream. So I have to actually edit the stream, the previous stream, uh, in order to remove the blank part in which nothing is spoken. Uh, should I do that now, or we should directly switch to what? Directly switch to what? Directly switch to our topic for the day. For example, if I click manage videos, and in this article, we are going to navigate to cloudflare.com. Did you guys remember that? One second, it already been edited, I think. This is the DDoS 5 video, and for editor, actually there was a very large blank part at the last of the video, and I have seen that I've already cut that part. So that's all good. Let me check that full screen. Yes, the video has been cut. Okay. So you might find somewhere dark around here, as you can see in thumbnail. I'll first let it load. Or never mind. You can just always watch the video and suggest me if there any improvement required in that part. We were at Learning Center. We have covered the DNS flood attack. We have covered all entire of it. And the next, DDoS booster IPS tracer. We were at the IPS tracer, so I am going to revise it thoroughly, not thoroughly, but speed run. I will have a speed run over it, and then we will continue our tedious study for 1 hour from the next topic. Okay, so first let me open my VS Code, the favorite node editing app, because of its bare bone capabilities to run code. Let me open the folder, which is Cloudflare Hush. Oh, wait a second, guys. Actually, I want to show you something. Mm, Let me revert to that previous folder, which was daily Sharians landing page 5th. Actually, I created a new landing page from the one of the oldest video by Sharian's coding school, and in this the bifurcation or the utilization of React theme model is used. For example, I have separated the nav bar and landing page into two separate components here. And if you see npm run dev, this is how the website looks. Digital performance solution. Actually, I have to make some animations here and there in order to make it. So animation, the Sharians told that it can be done using the tools like GSAP. But I am guessing that there's a for the React especially, there is also another solution present for the animation. So I will try that, but I don't have time at that time. So I paused the process from there right now, and I will certainly add the animations tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But I have dedicated my 1 hour for the web development, or you can say the full stack development. So as you can see here, this is my code for the nav bar. I have used the JavaScript section that we already covered in my previous JavaScript series, that I have mapped through all the items in the following array. We have services, work, about, culture, career, and contact us all written in this array, and targeting the specific last item by index equal to items dot length -1, which returns to last item. And I have given this a special classes So it can be separated as well as a border around it. Okay. So I think you are getting my point. And suppose if I add this border thing, if I copy this and move to the find out more section and paste it here. Okay. Sorry. I think I missed the copy part. Let me copy it again. Okay, actually, now it got copied, and now I have to paste it here. Okay. Padding X full border Y empty Y, all good. So it's taking border for the whole part, but I have to give it border to only find out more. Okay. So what can I do? What I can do? I can write flex here. Okay. Then flex column and width fit. I think fit. Yes, that gonna do the work. Text center. We have two item center. Justify center, I guess. Justify center. No. Item center. Yes, that did the work for me. And for margin top of not 5, this time I'm going with 10. And yes, this is how I added a border in this, because we can just copy the classes and the functionality just works as good as it can be get. So this is not a web development video. I'm just showcasing my project, which I will soon going to be upload on GitHub, and we will continue to our IP stressor. So how was it? You must rate please in the comments down below. And we were at Cloudflare. Let me zoom it. Yes. An IPS tracer is a tool designed to test a network for its robustness. The administration and run a stress test. And we have already learned that if a stress test is run by an administrator, it is legal. While if it is run by something who don't own the network, it may be illegal. So booters, which also known as booter service, are on-demand DDoS attack services offered by enterprising criminals, which essentially uses the IPS tracer illegally in order to uh, compromise or what was the word? What was the word? Let me find the word. Overwhelm the server. And yes, we gone far through the word skiddies. Skiddies means the unskilled scripters who use others script in order to brag about it, how their hacking skills is. Yes, here is script kiddie is a derogatory term for low skilled internet vandals who employ a script or programs written by others in order to launch attack on network or website. They go after relatively well known and easy to exploit security vulnerability without considering the consequences. Okay. And what are the amplification and reflection attack? Reflection and amplification attacks are used to legitimate traffic in order to overwhelm the network or server being targeted. Okay. And this is the time. This is akin to attacker ordering pizzas to the victim house while pretending to be the victim. Now the victim ends up owning the money to the pizza place for a pizza they didn't order. The same example that I've already given regarding the cash on delivery services. When an attacker forges the IP connection, IP address of the victim and sends a message to the third party while pretending to be the victim, it is known as IP address spoofing. Okay. Traffic amplification happens when attacker forces the third party server to send back responses to victim with as much data as possible. Okay. The ratio between sizes of response and request is called amplification factor. The greater this amplification, the potential of disruption is the higher. The third party server also disrupt because of the volume of spoof requests it has to process. NTP amplification is one of the example. Okay. The most effective type of booter attacks use both amplification and reflection. First, the attacker fakes the target, sends the message to third party. When the third party replies, the message goes to the fake address of the target, and the reply is much bigger than the original message, thereby amplifying the size. So, if the what to say, the cost of attacking is equal to the cost of being attacked, then it is called simply reflection, because I am reflecting over. Say suppose I am throwing this and this ball hits to the wall and traverse to the same direction, but if I send a ball and a pile of balls are sent to that direction, that is called amplification. It is just the copying of the attempt, or the you can say the multiplying of the attempt, or in simpler words, the amplification of the attempt. Okay. Next, what are the categories of denial of service attack? We have already decided. We have already distributed application layer, protocol based, volumetric. Okay, application protocol volumetric. What are the common denial of service attack? SYN, HTTP, UDP, ping of death, ICMP protocol, slow LoRa's. Okay, invented by Robert R. Sneck Hansen. This attack tries to keep multiple connections to the target web server open and for as long as possible. Eventually, the additional connection attempts from the client will be denied. Actually, we have learned quite a thing about slow LoRa's too. So, what it does is sends data to smaller packets and after a delay, but not that much delay, so the port can be closed. So, it just keeps the port open by sending very slow and very minimal stream of data, and just to keep the server occupied, nothing else. Next is teardrop attack. Okay. This attack involves sending fragmented packets to the targeted data device. A bug in the TCP/IP protocol prevents the server from reassembling such packet, causing the packets to overlap and the targeted device crashes. Okay, this is something new thing. A DNS amplification, legitimate request into much larger one. NTP amplification, volumetric DDoS attack in which attacker exploits the network time protocol. And in this video, when we discuss network time protocol in detail, I already told you about the PTP, precision time protocol. And we have an SNMP reflection attack. The attacker forged the victim IP and blast multiple simple network management protocol devices to device. The volume of the replies that can overwhelm the victim. Okay. SSDP, simple service discovery protocol. In that video, we have discussed how the Apple uses its own version of SSDP called Bonjour. It's a reflection-based DDoS attack that exploits the universal plug-and-play networking protocol in order to send an amplified amount of traffic to a target victim. Next is Smurf attack. This attack uses the malware called Smurf. Large number of internet control message ICMP with a victim spoof IP address are broadcasted to the computer in which IP broadcast address. One of our in our previous video, we have already discussed the ping of death, ping flood, and Smurf. Smurf is basically the amplification attack, but done using ping. Okay. And next is Fraggle attack. An attacker similar to a Smurf, except it uses UDP rather than ICMP. Okay. So we have to extend our list of common DDoS attack. As per this, what should be done in case of DDoS extortion attack? The data center and ISP should be immediately informed. Ransom payment should never be an option. A payment often leads to escalating ransom demands. Okay. Law enforcement agencies should be notified. Network traffic should be monitored, and DDoS protection service need to be reached. For example, Cloudflare free of charge plan. How can botnet attacks can be mitigated? Firewalls should be installed. Security patches must be up to date. Antivirus software must be run on schedule. System logs should be regularly monitored. A known email server should not be allowed to distribute SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol traffic. And why are booter service hard to trace? Because person buying this criminal service uses a front-end website for payment. In instruction relating to attack, very often there is no identifiable connection to the backend, initiating the actual attack. Therefore, criminal intent can be hard to prove. Following the payment trail is one way to track down the criminals. So still we can follow the payment trail. Okay. But I think the criminals are also very smart, or the criminals happens to be very smart. And yes, now we have to study high orbit ion cannon HOIC. Alt and R. I think I should copy this HOIC and paste it to our abbreviation. Is a popular tool that used to launch DDoS and DOS attack, which aims to flood a victim network with web traffic and shut down a website or a service. It is an easily available piece of open source software developed by a hacktivist group Anonymous. It's a successor to an older DDoS tool called Low Orbit Ion Cannon. Okay, both named after sci-fi video game weapons. Okay, while the most malicious software tools require a high level of technical skills, the HOIC provides simple and user-friendly UI that can be turned with a click of button. Although it is used in many malicious and illegal attacks, the HOIC is still legally available because it has application as legitimate testing tools for users who want to implement a stress test on their own network. How does HOIC work? HOIC works via application layer HTTP flood DDoS attack, flooding a victim server with HTTP GET and POST request, with the goal of overloading the server request capacity. For advanced attack, custom script can be used to target multiple subdomains of the victim site at once. While HOIC can target as many as 256 sites simultaneously, making it possible for users to coordinate concurrent tasks. This shotgun approach. Shotgun means firing multiple bullets at once. Of having several attackers targeting many different pages and domain at once can make mitigation and detection much more challenging. Built-in booster scripts also help attacker to avoid detection. In addition to booster scripts, many HOIC users can also use Swedish proxies to obfuscate the location. It is believed that they choose Sweden because of the strict internet privacy laws in that country. Launching a serious attack with HOIC requires some coordination. It requires around 50 different users to launch attack on the same target simultaneously. Anonymous demonstrated the HOIC effectiveness in 2012, wherein successfully launched attacks against the several major companies, the RIAA, and even the FBI. It is one of the biggest DDoS attacks in the history and required an estimated 27,000 computers simultaneously using HOIC. And there are several strategies exist to mitigate the HTTP flood attack from the HOIC. The IP reputation filtering, IPRF. I should copy this. Is a preventive measure that checks the incoming IP addresses against the database known malicious IP address and keep their traffic off network. A web application firewall can also rate limit the rules which can drop the traffic from IP addresses that are making suspicious amount of requests. There's also a method to test if a web client is legitimate, for example, CAPTCHA verification, and a more sophisticated method that asks web browsers to solve a simple math problem without interrupting the user experience, which we call the JavaScript computational problem. And protection from the HOIC attack should be included in the most DDoS protection product and services. For example, that is offered by Cloudflare, of course. Why not? Time to move to low orbit ion cannon. Copy it. I am back again. So guys, I am still listening to the same song, Airbag by Radiohead. In case you didn't give it a listen, please listen it and try to listen the acoustic version of this song. It's just chilling song, and even the whole album, OK Computer, is chilling. So guys, give it a try, and we will continue to our low orbit ion cannon. The low orbit ion cannon is a tool commonly used to launch DDoS attack, as originally developed by Paretox technology as a network stress testing, but it has since become open source and widely used with malicious intent. It is known for being a very user friendly, accessible tool. It has gained notoriety for its use by member of hacktivist group, anonymous, as well as user of 4chan forums. Of what is 4chan? 4chan, I think 4chan is quite like the Reddit like website, and it's oftenly has a bad image of being banned. It is a simple image based bulletin board where anyone can post comment and share images anonymously. And yes, and why I'm getting the anonymous group, hacker group anonymous. Okay. So 4chan is developed by this anonymous group. Never mind, yeah. Should I visit it? Okay. It could be open here. Wow. Good. I will visit that later. Next, this tool puts the ability to launch DDoS attack in the hands of users with very little technical knowledge. It is widely available for download and has a simple point and click interface. Additionally, user can even launch attack from the web browser using the JavaScript version called JSLOIC, JavaScript Low Orbit Ion Cannon, and a web version is known as Low Orbit Web Cannon. Okay, how does the LOIC work? It works by flooding a target server with TCP, UDP, or HTTP packet with the goal of disrupting service. One attacker using LOIC cannot generate enough junk traffic to make serious impact on the target. Serious attack can require multiple thousands of users to coordinate a simultaneous attack on the same target. In order to make these coordinated attacks, users can use IRC chat channels to run a hive mind version of LOIC, which lets one primary user to control several other secondary computers, creating a voluntary botnet. And this is the popular approach because of the owners of the secondary devices can claim that they were innocent victim of an involuntary botnet. The LOIC was also notably used in 2010. The WikiLeaks supporter went after the Visa and MasterCard site in response to credit card companies freezing payments to WikiLeaks. Okay. Next, how do you stop an LOIC attack? This small LOIC HTTP attack can be mitigated with a local firewall by having a server administrator. Yes, server administrator look at the logs and identify the IP of attackers and dropping their request. However, this strategy won't stand up to a large scale attack where hundred even thousands of different attackers are working in tandem. Tandem means together. Local firewalls cannot protect against the TCP or UDP flood, the latter of which can be prevented or even targeted at disrupt firewall. A web application firewall can provide strong protection against the HTTP flood, and dedicated DDoS protection can stop TCP and UDP attacks. Fortunately, the attackers using LOIC are fairly easy to detect. It can be used through a proxy, so attackers' IP addresses are visible to the target. Numerous countries have taken legal action against the attacker using the LOIC, including the US, UK, Spain, and Turkey. And I am born again. Next is IP spoofing. What is IP spoofing? IP spoofing is the creation of IP packets which have a modified source address in order to either hide the identity of the address or the sender or to impersonate other computer system or both. It is a technique often used by bad actor to invoke DDoS attacks against the target device or surrounding infrastructure. Sending and receiving IP packet is a primary way in which network computers other device communicate. All the constituents, the basis of modern internet, all the IP packets contain a header which precedes the body of the packet and contains important routing information, including the source address. In normal packet, the source IP address is the address of the sender, If a packet has been spoofed, the source address will be forged. Okay. So as you can see, but every packets contain these two things must, to and from, basically source and destination. So the to denotes the destination, that it is packet is destined to server here. So this bot is sending something to server. But from, instead of writing bot here, instead of writing his own name, it has written the victim name. So and it is asking for sending me lots of data. So this is a basically reflection and amplification attack that is represented by this diagram. Because this asks the send me lot of data, this server thinks that not this guy but this guy is asking, because the name is written victim here. IP spoofing is an analogous to an attacker sending a package to someone with the wrong return address listed. If the person receiving the package want to stop the sender from sending package, blocking all packages from the bogus address will do little good, as return address is easily changed. Relatedly, if the receiver wants to respond to the return address, the response will package will go somewhere other than the real sender. The ability to spoof the address of the packet is core vulnerability exploited by many DDoS attacks. The DDoS attack will often utilize the spoofing with the goal of overwhelming a target with the traffic while masking the identity of the malicious source. Preventing mitigation effort. If the blocked IP address is falsified, continuously randomized, blocking malicious request becomes difficult. IP spoofing also makes it tough for law enforcement and cybersecurity teams to track down the perpetrator of the attack. Spoofing is also used to masquerade as another device, so responses are sent to the targeted device. So volumetric attack like these can be made, or can we make or use of this vulnerability. The ability to modify the source IP is inherent to the design of IP or TCP, making it is an ongoing security concern. What can we do about it? IP spoofing cannot be prevented. Read it again. IP spoofing cannot be prevented. Measures can be taken to stop spoof packet from infiltrating a network. A very common defense against spoofing is ingress filtering. Ingress means the packet which is coming inside of the network. Outline in BCP 38, best common practice document. Ingress filtering is a form of packet filtering usually implemented on the network edge. Network edge means the devices at the last of the network node, which examines the incoming packets and looks at their source header. For example, if I have to explain the network edge, how would I do this? Let me open the blank thing first and make it large. And if I, one second, if I open the annotator, yes, that by the means of network edge, we can say that this is the uh, autonomous system. We have already discussed what an autonomous system is. A range of addresses, or the basically you can say the campus in which, just like college, we have a campus that is the area surrounded by the college, and it has its own authoritative control. So it is an autonomous system of my service provider called Geo. Okay, I guess you may be using Geo, Airtel, or any carrier. Suppose this is an Geo provider. If my smartphone, or if my home, suppose I have 2 to 3 devices, for example this laptop, Android smartphone, a couple of Android smartphones, so these all form some network. One second. So we have formed a couple of network. If my autonomous system or my zone wants to connect to this Geo, Reliance Geo, we have to be coupled with some connection. For example, I have to pay for the plans that Geo offers me, and this connection creates an network edge. Okay, and ingress filtering is done by Geo. Ingress filtering means if I am sending a request to the Geo, they going to filter down my request, just to check in case I'm not launching a DDoS attack in one of their servers or the service providing thing, routers or database, etc. So that is going to be filtered out as a network edge. And the ingress filtering, we also have the egress filtering. Egress means the sending out of traffic. For example, if government poses a restriction on the geo to restrict this particular website, suppose the website is uh, not the porn one, but the actual website. Suppose couple of XYZ, I should have written XYZ here. It might make much more sense. Suppose xyz.com. Okay. And government banned this xyz.com website. Okay. So the geo will egressly filter out the website if I am requesting it to. And it will won't send the website even though the website is up and running, but it won't be sent by the geo service provider to my network, and this is called the egress filtering. And that's all for this video, and we will continue with the next topic. I'm very sure that we still have very much time left in order to cover the DDoS completely. So where we were at IP spoofing. Time to malware or malware, as you may say. Malware, a portmanteau from the words malicious and software, is a general term which can refer to viruses, worms, trojans, ransomware, spyware, adware, and other types of harmful software. A key distinction of malware is that it needs to be intentionally malicious. Any software that unintentionally causes harm is not considered to be a malware. For you guys, those who are active in the technology world, you may have heard the word that the Windows, the operating system, has started to becoming a spyware or a malware, because now it forces user to create an online account and will try to track its all activity, even that activity does not belongs to Windows. For example, using an open source application, it actually tracks how many times you open this application, what were the output, what were the files, what you drag and drop to that file. And it's very problematic thing for me, so I switched it from Windows to Arch Linux. And I think guys, the time has come that you should and you must at least try to switch to Linux and learn Linux as much as possible. Next, the general goal for the malware is to disrupt the normal operations for a device. And yes, Windows has become a spyware because it was disrupting my normal operations for a device, the normal operation of my laptop. This disruption can range in purpose from displaying ads on a device. And this is exactly, you have often seen the start menu ads in the Windows 10, Windows 11, without the consent to gaining root access of a computer. Malware may attempt to obfuscate itself from the user in order to collect information quietly, or it may lock the system and hold the data for ransom. In DDoS attack, malware such as Mirai affects vulnerable devices, turning them into bots under the control of the attacker. Once modified, these devices can be used to carry out DDoS attack as a part of a botnet. The creation of malware arose to the result of experiments and prank by computer programmers, but discovery of commercial potential, it created the turn malware development into a lucrative black market industry. Though many attackers used to offer create a malware to launch malware attacks in return for the compensation. What are some other types of malware? And we have some names: spyware, viruses, worms, Trojan horse, rootkits, ransomware. And let me tell you guys, these are the very easiest thing to remember. Actually, it is self-explanatory. For example, we have the word spyware. So we have the word spy in this spyware, which means it uses to monitor users' activity. It may be web browsing on, and what it does, it's display unwanted ads related to the user activity. Some spyware uses keylogger. Keylogger basically key. The keys that are present on the keyword, if you type on that, it will log that and records the user keystrokes specifically for password extraction. Okay. Next is virus. If you have studied in your primary classes, the virus is a living, not a living organism, but kind of a living organism. It is both, but none. So basically, it doesn't do anything by itself. The victim needs to run the operating system, as the viruses are present in this environment, but they don't live as a living organism. But if somehow um, virus is inside of my body, then it starts to replicate itself and infect my whole body, or infect an organism like me. So the victim needs to run the operating system or open the infected file in order to be affected, just like the virus in biology. Next is worms. What do worms do? Suppose if you keep a worm in your vegetable, or in anything, then it worm will automatically replicate itself, makes many copy of it, and it will destroy the veggies or the anything that you have put into it. Just like that, worms self-replicate and transmit themselves over a network. And even the user does not need to have run any software to become a victim. Just being connected to the infected network is enough. Next is Trojan horses. This has to do with the story of Troy, in which a large wooden horse is sent as a gift to a rival party, and the rival party accepted the gift in thought of that we have won the victory. But inside the wooden horses, there were soldiers from the other parties who, in the night, get out of that horse and captured the colony from the inside. And this is why the Trojan horses. These are the pieces of malware that come hidden inside of useful software as a gift to entice the user to install them. Suppose pirated copies of the popular software. Uh, what was that? Adobe Photoshop. I am looking towards you. Are often infected with Trojan horses. Next is rootkits. There is a word called root in the rootkit. The root means the part of the plant which is inside the soil. Suppose this operating system is running, but before initiating the operating system, the first thing that runs on a computer is the BIOS, or UEFI, you can say. These software packages are designed to modify an operating system, so unwanted installations are hidden from the user. The famous example is 2005 Sony rootkit scandal, when Sony sold 22 million music CDs that came infected with a rootkit that would secretly install a software intended to disrupt CD copying on purchaser computer. This rootkit opened up door for other attackers to target the infected system with additional malware. Sony, I didn't thought that you could do this to your users. Next, ransomware. This software can encrypt files or even an entire operating system on a computer or network and keep them encrypted until a ransom is paid to attacker. And the emergence of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies had created a surge in popularity of ransomware attacks. An attacker can anonymously accept currency and minimize the risk of getting caught. And we have covered the different types of viruses, malwares, and now the risk factor for malware infection. First is security bug, second is user error, third is OS sharing. Security bugs. Software such as operating system, web browsers, and browser plugins contains vulnerabilities for attackers to exploit. So it needs to be updated. User error. User opening software from unknown sources, downloading torrents from here and there can create a serious risk. And finally, the OS sharing. If a single OS is shared by multiple computers over a network, then there is no, and there might be no restrictions on them, so they can install any program. And if one worm is installed by anyone, then it will be infected to every other users on that operating system. And how you can stop the malware? No one can completely imperviously to malware attacks. New attacks are constantly being developed to challenge even the most secure system. But there are plenty of ways to minimize vulnerabilities to malware attack. This is using antivirus and anti-malware software. Okay, running regular scans on a computer is crucial to detect threats before they can spread. Next, we have website security scans. We have a web application firewall and air gap isolation, which means that cutting a computer or network off all outside network and internet communication by disabling any hardware that could make the communication possible. Even this is not a foolproof defense because that has been compromised by the tactics such as drop drive attack, where USB drives are dropped in company's parking lot in hopes that a curious employee will find one and plug into a computer on the network, infecting the isolated network with malware. If you have seen Mr. Robot, the series, Mr. Robot, this one. If you have seen this, you can actually see how effective this drop drive attack is. You just have to drop some pen drives with malware written on it, and if any person plugs the malware filled drive into their office computer, then the whole network gets compromised. And the time has come to switch to next topic, which is Mirai botnet. I think we have covered the Mirai botnet. Okay, tiered CNC botnet model, client server, tiered CNC, peer to peer. We have already covered it. And why is botnet proliferation so hard? IoT device owners, ISP manufacturer, magnitude. And we have studied about how ARC based processors are vulnerable to such attacks. So every IoT device that uses a ARC based processors are under attack. What was the ARC refers to? Argonaut risk core device. Okay. And I think the time has come to switch to next thing, RUDY, which stands for Are You Dead attack. I feel like we have already covered the RUDY attack, but let's still go through it. Are You Dead Yet is a RUDY is a denial of service attack tool that aims to kim's the web server tied by submitting form data in a absurdly slow pace, and it is exploited as a category of low and slow attack. Okay. And since it focuses on creating few drown out requests rather than overwhelming a server, a successful Rudy attack will result to victim's origin server become unavailable to the legitimate traffic. Okay. Okay. this thing actually caught my eye. Once a form is found on a website, the tool creates a HTTP post request to mimic a legitimate form submission. This post request contains a header which alerts that the server is sending a very lengthy piece of content, and then it's break down its packet into as small as 1 byte packet each, and sends every packet at random intervals of around 10 seconds. But which means that first even for suppose a very small example, for example, a form wants a passport size photo and limits itself to 200 kb. So if I search for bytes in 200 kb, so we have how much bytes? Around 2 lakh bytes, which essentially turns to 200,000 bytes. And if we multiply it by 10, so if I put a single zero on it, now we have 2 million bytes. So just with 200 kb of data, a server may be opened a port for that 200 million seconds, and I have to also divide it by 60 in order to get the times in minute. Okay, so this could not be done here, but certainly this could be done here. Around 33,000 minutes. Okay, and if I also divide it by 60, which stands for hour, 555 hours. A server can be occupied for 555 hours. Don't take my calculation seriously, it may be wrong. But actually so how much more time period a server can be occupied if it is being attacked by rudy, because it's actually find out as a legitimate user. Then the tools continue submitting the data infinitely. The web server will keep the connection open to accept the packet. Since the behavior of packet is similar to that of a user with slow connection speed, meanwhile the web server capacity to handle legitimate traffic is impaired. The Rudy tool can simultaneously create several of these slow requests, all targeting one web server. Since a web server can only handle connections, so many connections at once, it's possible for Rudy attack to tie up all available connections, meaning any legitimate users trying to access the web server will be denied the service. Even a robust web server with high number of connection available can be taken by Rudy via network of computer conducting the attack simultaneously, which is known as DDoS. HTTP headers are key value pairs that are sent with HTTP request or response. They provide vital information such as HTTP version, language of content, etc. etc. Because slow and low attacks are carried out much more subtly than traditional DDoS, they can be hard to detect. But protections can be put in place to prevent one of them. One of such prevention measures is to set stricter connection timeout intervals on a web server, meaning that the slowest connection will be served. Uh, this solution comes with a side effect. Legitimate users with slow internet connection could be denied by the server. Alternatively, a reverse proxy solution such as Cloudflare protection can filter out low and slow attack like Rudy without disconnecting the legitimate users. Good. And now we have to cover slow Loris DDoS attack. And we still have slightly time left, so we can cover this in full. Slow Loris is a denial of service attack program which allows an attacker to overwhelm a targeted server by opening and maintaining multiple simultaneous HTTP connections between attacker and target. Okay. Okay. So basically, it initiates multiple incomplete connections instead of normal complete connections in which we have a response sent and a request sent and response received. It only sends the request but did not receives any requests responses. Okay. Slow loris is an application layer attack which operates by utilizing partial http request. The attack functions by opening connection on targeted web server and keep those connections open as long as it can. Slow loris is not a category of attack, but instead a specific attack tools to allow single machine to take down a server without using a lot of bandwidth. Unlike bandwidth consuming reflection based DDoS or NTP amplification, these type of attacks uses low amount of bandwidth and instead aims to use up server resource with a request that seems lower than normal but otherwise mimic a regular traffic. It falls in the category of low and slow attack. The targeted server will have so many threads available to handle concurrent connection. Each server thread will attempt to stay alive while waiting for the slow request to complete, which never occurs. When the server maximum possible connection have exceeded, each additional connection will not be answered and denial of service will occur. And the slow ROS attack occur in 4 steps. The attacker first open multiple connections to the target server by sending multiple partial HTTP request header. Then the target opens a thread for each incoming request with intent of closing the thread one and connection is completed. In order to be efficient, if a connection takes too long, the server will time out and exceedingly long connection freezing the thread for the next request. To prevent the target from timing out connection, the attacker periodically sends partial request header to target in order to request her. In essence, saying, I am still here, I am just slow, please wait for me. The targeted server is never be able to release any of the open partial connection while waiting for the termination of request. Once all the available threads are in use, this server will unable to respond to additional requests made from the regular traffic, resulting in denial of service. The key behind slow LoR is its ability to cause lot of trouble with a very little bandwidth consumption. and slow lorries can be mitigated. For web servers that are vulnerable to slow lorries, there are ways to mitigate some of the impact. Mitigation options for vulnerable server can be broken into three categories: increase server availability, rate limit monitoring requests, and finally the cloud-based protection, such as using Cloudflare or using a reverse proxy. Let's go through it one by one. Increase server availability. Increasing the maximum number of client and server will allow at any one time will increase the number of connections the attacker must make before they can overload the server. Realistically, an attacker may scale the number of attacks to overcome the server capacity regardless of the increase. Rate limiting, restricting access based on the user's factor will helps to mitigate a slow loris attack. Techniques such as limiting the maximum number of connection to a single IP address is allowed to make restricting slow transfer speed and limiting the time a client is allowed to stay connected, all approach to limiting the effectiveness of low and slow attack. Next is cloud-based protection. When a service that can function as a reverse proxy protects the origin server. Also, we will see the proxy and reverse proxy in some future videos. And yes, Cloudflare can also mitigate the slow ROS attack by using its DDoS protection plans. And now we have also finished our DDoS attack tools. From the next video, we will cover this glossary. Most of the things have been already covered in this thing, and we have the articles from the Cloudflare. Let's see what were the articles. I'm not going to cover these kind of articles in this series video. If you are interested, you can certainly visit the Cloudflare website yourself and cover it. Uh, One second. Glossary. What is DDoS black hole routing? And something. Suppose what is DDoS black hole routing? And we do have a case study. So these are very small things. We do have 10 minutes left. Can we complete it? Let's see. The DDoS black hole routing or filtering, sometimes also called black holing, is a countermeasure to mitigate a DDoS attack, in which network traffic is routed into a black hole and is lost. When black hole is filtering is implemented without specific restriction criteria, both legitimate and malicious traffic is routed to a null route or a black route dropped from a network. Actually, in Linux, we also have a null route, which is called null route. One second. Null sending error to null Linux. Yes, we have a null route here, dev/null. So if the terminal is giving some errors for the command, you can redirect the output to the null, so it won't be represented into terminal. And that's the same thing that you can do in a network. If you think that I am under attack, we can redirect all the traffic to a null route in which the traffic will be discarded. Okay. So when using protocols, there are connections such as UDP, no notifications of the drop data will be returned to the source. With connection-oriented protocols like TCP, which require a handshake to connect with the target system, a notification will be returned if the data is dropped. For organizations that have no means of blocking an attack, black holing is widely available option. Simply drop the mic or drop the all traffic. These methods of mitigation may have serious consequences, potentially making it an undesirable option to mitigate a DDoS attack. Similar to the way antibiotics destroy both good and bad bacteria, while implemented improperly, this type of DDoS mitigation will indiscriminately disrupt the sources of traffic to the network or service. Sophisticated attacks will also use the variable IP addresses and attack vectors, which can limit the effectiveness of this type of mitigation as sole means of disrupting the attack. A key consequence of using black hole routing when good traffic is also affected, it is that the attacker has essentially accomplished their goals of disrupting traffic to the target network or service. Even though it can be helped a malicious actor accomplish their goals, black hole routing can still be useful when the target of attack is small size, that's part of a larger network. In that case, black holing the traffic directed as a targeted site could protect the larger network from the effects of an attack. In 2008, YouTube was down for hours one day thanks to the Pakistan Telecom use of black hole routing. This happened after the Pakistani Ministry of Communication sent out orders to have YouTube blocked nationwide in response to a YouTube video that contained a Dutch cartoon depicting the Prophet Muhammad. Okay. The Pakistan's government owned telecommunication service responded to these orders with a black hole routing solution. But their solution created unexpected side effect. The Pakistan Telecom created a black hole route and broadcast instruction claiming that to be legitimate destination for anyone trying to reach YouTube's web address. The traffic was sent to the black hole route and dropped. The problem is that the Pakistani Telecom used BGP to share this route with ISP all over the world. So Pakistan effectively broadcast to the internet service provider worldwide that they were correct destination for YouTube, that they sent all the YouTube bound traffic into a black hole. Fortunately, YouTube has a very sophisticated technical team that they were able to identify and fix the problem within hours. But with this example, this shows a serious risk comes with using black hole routing. And BGP stands for Border Gateway Protocol, and it manages how the packets are routed across the internet. Another well-known BGP mix-up even brought to Google down, and this is the blog post about that. So it was a very funny blog post, I guess. So actually, black hole routing is not to blame, but the working of BGP is to consider the black hole routing is to be blamed, because the BGP is a global internet protocol. It actually handles all the traffic. For example, the traffic that I am asking for this website on a Cloudflare server is routed using the BGP protocol. Actually, the route is determined by the BGP protocol. How this traffic generated from my computer will reach the Cloudflare server or the Cloudflare content delivery network. And the working of BGP is vulnerable to such kind of foolish mistakes. Now we have DDoS mitigation. What is it? DDoS mitigation refers to the process of successfully protecting a target server from distributed denial service. We have routing. First is detection. In order to stop the distributed attack, a website need to be able to distinguish an attack from a high volume normal traffic. If a product release or other announcement has a website swarmed with legitimate new visitors, or the last thing that the site wants to do is to throttle them, otherwise stop them from viewing the content of the website. IP reputation, common attack patterns, and previous data assist in proper detection. Next is response. In this step, the DDoS protection network responds to an incoming connection by intelligently dropping malicious bot traffic and absorbing the rest of traffic using the web application firewall rules for the L7 attack or another filtration process to handle lower level of attacks such as memcached and NTP amplification. A network is able to mitigate the attempt as disruption. Next is routing. By intelligently routing traffic, an effective DDoS mitigation solution will break the remaining traffic into manageable chunks, preventing the denial of service. Okay, ideally the routing should be here, and detection should be here, and response should be a detection. And finally, the adaptation. The good network analyze the network traffic or pattern, such as repeating offending IP blocks, particular attacking attacks from certain countries, or particularly protocols being used improperly. And for this, AI could be used in the cloud. Actually, the Cisco is embracing the AI in its routing and switching solutions, even on firewall solutions. We have a whole category of devices for such kind of protection. What was it called? It was called something NGNX. No, NGNX is a web server. Next generation firewall. Next gen firewalls. Yes, it was called the next generation firewall. Cisco offers a range of products and services for security, networking, and collaboration. Cisco's next generation firewall is XDR. We also have a Cloudflare article in this, NGFW. So we will come to that when we were studying the web application security. Okay. Now, choosing a DDoS mitigation service. Traditional DDoS mitigation solution may involve purchasing equipment that would be live on site and filter incoming traffic. This approach involves purchasing, maintaining expensive equipment and relies on the network capability of absorbing an attack. But these are the limitations with this approach. Scalability, because traditional solutions cannot scale well. Okay, next is flexibility, because the items are present on the site basis, they cannot be used on the different website, or sorry, on a different site, different location. So they are particularly defined to a confined location. Next is reliability, because the equipment is expensive and you have only one set of equipment, you cannot totally rely on that because technical things tend to break. And next is network size. As the size of the network grew, the traditional solution, the single time purchases may limit itself or may bottleneck sometimes. Okay. So it is always a good solution to go with a hybrid solution or cloud first solution, which has all these uh, limitations as its advantage, because a cloud solution can scale well, it is flexible, it is reliable, and most of the time it can simply adapt to the network size by paying a slightly higher fees than the earlier that one is paying for. And that's all. Next time to next article. What is DOS attack? DOS attacks fall into category buffer overflow, flood attack. So the DOS attack is to oversaturate the capacity, simply oversaturate the capacity. And in order to oversaturate the capacity, if we use multiple devices at once, the attack is termed as DDoS attack. Attacks are mainly categorized into two forms. First is buffer overflow and second is flood attack. And I think that's all in the DOS attack. If you're watching this video for long enough, I'm very sure that these glossary terms are nothing else. And this is a new thing, which is DNS, which we will going to cover in our upcoming next video in the following series. Because the time has come, 7:30 has already been up. Okay guys, so see you in the next video. See you, bye, have a nice day.